Good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are. I'm Maria Pia Ancora, Maria for short. I'm a senior urban development specialist for the Asian Development Bank. And I'm the co-team leader for the technical assistance to establish the national standardized spatial data infrastructure for Armenia. It's a long title. It's basically the digital cadastre geoportal for the government of Armenia. We hope you'll find this session helpful. It certainly will be helpful for us, for the team, to refine the terms of reference for clarity, to address needs and questions that will come out today, and overall to just ensure smooth implementation and the best outcome for the project. My colleague, Vardan Karapetian, who is the co-team leader for the project, will illustrate the structure of the TA. It will be followed by the Cadastral committee, who will convey the context, their needs, their expectations. And he will be the Cadastral will be followed by Thomas Robinson, a colleague of mine in the Asian Development Bank, to whom we're really grateful for introducing the ADB procurement framework, and in particular, the rules that apply to this specific procurement package. Before I hand it over to the country director, Paolo Spantigati, for a few welcome remarks, just a few housekeeping points from my side. The meeting is going to be recorded in the interest of people or entities who were not able to join today. Interpretation is provided from Armenian to English and vice versa for our Armenian colleagues if they need it. Otherwise, just as a usual Zoom etiquette, please mute your mic if you're not speaking. Feel free to keep the video on, and I'll keep the time. So then I should, in the interest of time, I should hand it over to Paolo Spantigati. Paolo, over to you. Thanks everybody, and looking forward to the discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria Pia. Thanks, Maria Pia and Vardan, who have led the preparation of this TA and the organization of this meeting. So let me welcome the chairman, Tovmasyan, and his team from the State Cadastral Committee. Some of you, I would imagine all of you, may have seen some press release and some news about this new initiative. I must say that I had maybe never like this time got many comments from various corners of a lot of interest, and many government and non-government agencies really looking forward for the output of this TA, because it's expected to be very useful in so many avenues. I wanted to welcome the participants and thank all of you for this opportunity. In ADB, we're very proud to support this effort to help build and strengthen the national cadastre. It's really essential to empower effective land management in Armenia, and therefore it's expected to really help sort of economic activities, also by sort of facilitating e-government capacity and better management of land and estates. So inaccurate cadastre data, we have seen it ourselves in our project, hampers infrastructure project implementation, because both of possible consequences on poor project design and also poor implementation. So it's difficult to identify better resettlement options, minimizing resettlement impacts when designing, and then when implementing, that can lead to a lot of disputes and legal processes if it's not very clear. So the time-consuming process of cadastral data correction for land acquisition, which leads then to project realignment, greatly we found slows project implementation, as well as then the implementation of resettlement. So we look forward to this TA, even from an ADB very direct point of view, because we think it can really help our projects. Let me just conclude by thanking the Korean government, which is represented here by my colleague Young-Ryu Lee. The Korean government was kind enough to support part of a grant through their E-Asian Knowledge Partnership Fund. Exactly, that's another testimony of the importance and relevance of the TA, which was welcomed by the Korean government. Thanks to the colleagues in the procurement department, and in particular to Thomas Robinson, which agreed to attend today and will explain the procurement modality. Let me say, please do not hesitate. Do ask as many questions as you may have, because it's fundamental. As Maria Pia was saying, we want to have the best possible implementation of a TA, and so it's important you're able to understand fully well the procurement modalities and to respond so that we can get the best proposals. Your contributions will be essential for the grant implementation to make it smooth and effective. Actually, we and the state and the Cadastral Commission, we agreed to fund and finance it, but it will be whoever will be implementing the TA that will really be the one giving the technical and practical solution. So I really look forward to your active participation, and the team is here. Maria Pia, Vardan, Thomas, and the whole ADB is here to answer to any question, including the State Cadastral Committee. So thank you very much, and I wish you all a good meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Paolo, for your blessing. Over to Vardan now, who's a gentleman, and he volunteered to present the TA on behalf of the team. Thank you, Vardan. Over to you. Please be mindful of the time. We want to leave as much space as possible to the participants and to the companies. I see, in the meantime, I saw Mr. Suren Tomasian, Chairman of the State Cadastral Committee. Thank you very much for joining. Thank you very much for the video. And thank you for staying with us. We will give you the floor after we introduce the TA. Thanks again.
Okay, thank you.
So thank you very much, Maria Pia. Good Armenian morning to everyone. As Maria Pia said, I'm going to present the TA on ADB's behalf, and without further ado, let me start. So the TA is called Supporting the Establishment of National Standard Spatial Data Infrastructure.
Vardan, you want to put it in show mode so it's larger?
It's not, sorry. Is it okay now? Is it okay now, or?
It's okay. Yes, yeah, please go ahead.
Oh, thank you. Okay. So the objective of the project is to support the ongoing efforts of the Cadastral Committee of Republic of Armenia to build a national state-of-the-art multipurpose geoportal, which is going to be integrated with other government agencies. We do this for land management, including planning and administration purposes. We also do this for more efficient public services provision and greater transparency, as well as for effective evaluation, monitoring, and response on diseases and land degradation included by natural hazards. The TA will also contribute to the greater transparency and use of digital maps and cadastral data in local government offices, where the data is required for planning purposes, social services provision, transport networks, and for other local government activities. As my country director said, lack of integrated platform and spatial data for easy and remote access to transparent and accurate land information has created insufficiencies in the real estate market and the national land uses and policy making. So the local law requires that the land use schemes, zoning plans, and other spatial planning documents are open to the public. And however, they are not being available, or they are available in a format that are not easily accessible for the citizens and for other stakeholders. As a result, for the years, the Cadastral Committee provided this information to citizens upon request, only as prescribed by law. Thus, the heads of communities could arbitrarily dispose land slot without public oversight. Very few words on how the technical assistance is designed. So this is a ADB grant, $1,300,000 of US dollars in total, which is co-financed by two trust funds. First being the eAsia and Knowledge Partnership Fund, which has kindly contributed $500,000. And the second financee is the High Level Technology Fund, which has kindly contributed $800,000 for the sake of the project. Apart from this, the government of Armenia has also allocated about $850,000 for geodetical and cartographical surveys, aerial photography of the territorial Republic of Armenia, digital evaluation model of orthophoto projections. This list allocation is not considered as a part of the TA of the part of the project. However, the digital and imagery, digital data gathered and the imagery gathered is going to be stored in the integrated geoportal and is going to be integrated with the textual data available in the portal. For the implementation arrangements, ADB is going to administer the TA, conduct the procurement, and oversee the implementation, of course, but we are going to do this in close consultation with the Cadastral Committee of Republic of Armenia, which is assigned as the executing agency for the TA, which means they are defining the policy making. And the Geometric Center of the Cadastral Committee is going to be the implementing agency for the project. Very shortly, some words on the outputs, what we expect out of this exercise. We have predefined 3 outputs to be delivered. The first output with a budget of $500,000 financed by eAsia Knowledge and Partnership Fund is our main focus today, because this info session is mainly dedicated to help the stakeholders better understand the output 1 structure and the timelines when the output 1 is going to be delivered. So the output 1 is designed to deliver national geospatial standards design. And secondly, the geoportal terms of reference, which is the ultimate goal of the entire exercise. With a tentative implementation period of 1 year, we, after delivering of the output 1, we will commence to the second stage of the TA, which is presented in the output 2 and later in the output 3. The output 3, with a tentative budget of $650,000, is the development of the multi-purpose geoportal itself. And the reason why we have split the outputs, first, those are funded by 2 different funds. The second and third are coming with the funding of High Level Technology Fund. But the main reason here, we believe that this split will allow us to avoid any possible conflict of interest. And we are trying to deliver those outputs separately. The second output and the third one are going to be procured only when the first stage is completed and when the consultant recruited for the delivery of the first stage delivers the terms of reference for the procurement of the rest. And by doing this, we are trying to achieve even more transparency and increased competition in our bidding process for the stage 2 components. And the output 3, which is going to be implemented in parallel with output 2, again funded by the High Level Technology Fund, is a sort of a pilot exercise for one administrative division of Republic of Armenia. This is going to be the implementing of cartographic layers, whatever cartographic layers that we will define during the first stage, that the Cadastral Committee will find the more appropriate in the country context. So in the output 3, we are going to develop all the layers predefined for one administrative division of Republic of Armenia. As said, this infostation is mainly focusing on the output 1 agenda, let's say. And for this, we are going to present you the main rationale and the main purpose of the output 1, as well as the scope of the assignment, which will be followed later. So we believe that this assignment for output 1 will be delivered in 4 distinct phases. First being investigation of the current situation in Armenia to assess the needs for national geospatial data standards development and or upgrade. Secondly, we are going to investigate the current situation and design the architecture and interoperability scheme of the integrated national multifunctional geoportal. Then we are going to develop or upgrade at least 10 national geospatial data standards. And lastly, we are going to develop the terms of reference for the integrated national multifunctional geoportal to be implemented independently within the same TA arrangements as said. The scope of the assignment, how the consultant is going to deliver the assignment. So they need to collect information on successful international experience of national geospatial data standards development. They're also going to collect information on relevant data available locally, which is super important in country context, because this data is stored in different systems and databases. They are going to summarize their findings and recommendation for standardization of the data and for the integration of the existing data. For these to be delivered, they are going to organize and conduct national trainings, roundtable discussions on proposed standards and national multifunctional geoportal structure. Because as already said, we have many stakeholders involved in the process, and this is a nationwide integrated geoportal that is going to integrate all government agencies that are working with the spatial data into one environment. And it's really important to have all their active participation and buying for the project and to have their databases synchronized. And in the end, the ultimate goal of the exercise is to have one large data set used by all stakeholders, being the public institutions, maybe private institutions, and the regular citizens of Armenia, of course. As said, within the implementation of the output 1, the consultant is going to develop the terms of reference for the second stage, which is the geoportal development. They are also going to ensure professional translation of all deliverables into Armenian. This is also important from, let's say, technical language perspective for the geospatial standards to be available in the local language. And the rest, those are the standards, deliverably, the milestones for delivering the assignment, being the inception report, are going to submit progress reports every 3 months, and we are also accountable against the fund on a semi-annual basis, and we need these reports for the sake of that as well. And of course, to prepare and submit the final report, which will have the geoportal terms of reference as an attachment. And probably one of the last slides from me, for this exercise, we are going to undergo a fixed budget selection, which my colleague Tom Robinson will elaborate more a bit later. For international consultants, we were going to procure a firm which will have at least 4 international consultants. You can see the details of this, of the key experts predefined by us. And of course, we will hear comments from you, and we will later work with the Cadastral committee, and maybe we will have certain updates for these requirements. And apart from the international key experts, we are also envisaged to have 3 national consultants of total 24 months of inputs. The consulting firm is also going to be responsible for carrying out external publications, if required, surveys, trainings, seminars, and conferences, as indicated in the cost estimates and the financing plan of the TA report, which is publicly available on ADB website. On the last slide, for the milestone events, for you to have a better understanding on the timing, we are going to advertise the procurement next month in May, with tentatively proceeding to the contract award sometime in September this year, and to have the consultant mobilized probably in a month period, and the deliverables being approved within 1 year, the latest in October 2022, next year. And we will immediately proceed to the second stage of the project, which is the geoportal development itself. And we will immediately proceed to that in October next year, having the procurement completed and the consultants mobilized sometime in January 2023. And again, giving them 1 year to complete the development of the portal sometime in, 1.5 years, sometime in June 2024, which is the end for the implementation, and we will have the project complete sometime in September 2024. Probably this much from my side. We'll be happy to answer questions during the Q&A session. And over to you, Maria Pia. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Vardan. Very clear. I hope it's as clear for our colleagues. Just to remind everybody that these are outline TOR, which were already attached to the TA paper, which is a published document. And what we illustrated are tentative and time frames. Hopefully we will be able to go quicker, given how important is this project for Armenia. Likewise, the estimate for the inputs are estimates, and we can adjust, I think, within certain limits before we advertise. And that's why your comments today would be very helpful. So I would now like to invite the colleagues from the State Cadastral Committee. I'm not sure whether I should leave the floor to Vahagn or Mr. Tomasian, the chairman, or Aram Gagaratz. Over to you guys. I think Chairman Tomasian, welcome. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Thank you very much. First of all, thank you for this video meeting. It's very important for us, for our colleagues from the other department of Cadastral Committee. And right now we have prepared some presentation what we are doing right now and why it's very important for Armenia Cadastral to create national data standards, and how it's important to have such a tool as a geoportal Right now, we have some internal for internal use. We have some mapping system, and we trying to integrate some data information in one area and in one coordinate system. But we can't call it as a good geoportal. We can call it only mapping system. And during this project, output for us will be our national data standards and useful geoportal for our government and for our Armenian citizens, because it's very important tool to have good municipality management, and it's very important for us to have in cadastral committee such equipment. And the presentation will be done by Vahagan Muradian. Aram Gugaratz is now on his way to the Sunik region, and the reason is that he can do the presentation. But Vahagan is the head of Geomatics Center, and he is also responsible for this project. Vahagan.
Thank you so much. Is it okay? Yeah. Thank you again.
Yes.
Yeah. Let me to introduce our presentation. Our presentation about NSD strategy and our national geospatial data standards. I would like to inform you that a few weeks ago, National Spatial Data Infrastructure strategy was approved by Armenian government. And in frame of this strategy, we separated a few important points. First of all, we can say that spatial data management, it's very important in Armenia nowadays. And for that, key component is National Spatial Data Infrastructure. As we know, interoperability of the NSDI is provided by geospatial data standards. So that means very important component of NSDI is data standards. And the third, we can say that another important component is a national geoportal, multifunctional integrated geoportal. Our national geoportal in frame of this strategy should be modern, open, and efficient public administration tool, which will contribute country's economic growth and sustainable development. The main purpose of the integrated national geoportal should be an online environment that will allow users to view, analyze, and process spatial data from the different sources on a single platform. Here you can see the general concept and structure and the component of the NSDI. As you can see, there is three main components of the NSDI. First of all, first component is data or database. The second, service, and the third, application. So, as we can see, in second part, services, very important things are standards. ISO standards for metadata and, for example, OGC standards for the geospatial data sharing. So based on this general NSDI structure, we tried to construct Armenian NSDI structure. So here you can see the logic structure of the Armenian NSDI. It will be has a mainly three part. First is a GIS server, in which will be imported basic cartographic layers and the custom or thematic cartographic layers. Also, our Armenian NSDI will consist of National GeoPortal, which will be has two parts. The first part is public GeoPortal, and the second part, portal for state bodies. So also will be different geodatabase, for example, addresses, geographical name, document, and so on. So here will be very important national GeoPortal, as you can see, for data sharing, for data edit. Nowadays, in Cadastral Computer, there is one cartographic system. It's called map module, which is the part of database of Cadastral Computer database. So you can see the construction and the components of this cartographic module. And now Cadastral Computer use this module for data sharing inside of the Cadastral Computer. And also I can say that last year, this module was open for state bodies also, some basic layers. So as you can see in this system, we are using different softwares, and our database is Oracle. And this module was based on was constructed based on open source free GeoServer. Our map module has some function. There is the opportunity to search, to query, import, export coordinates, another function. So because our module was constructed based on GeoServer, it means that now we are using standard, OGC standard for that, for data sharing, for visualization data. Styling standards, data standards, and the protocol standards of OGIS. As we know, protocol standards is VMS, VPS, VPS, and so on. Here you can see the main page of our map module. And here you can see the land use layers, cadastral layers in the map module. This data are sharing and visualizing based on OGC standards, VMS, VPS, and styling standards. Also, there is the opportunity to import this map module raster image data. You can see the satellite images of the Yerevan city. On the right side, you can see also the layers which were imported by Cadastral Committee in this map model for the data sharing. Here you can see example of GIS, one of the city, Armenia, Gyumri city, which also were imported in GeoPortal map module. So all of these data were imported without any special standards, without any special standards. That's why the last year in geomatics centers, our specialists tried to study one of the most popular standards in world inspired, European inspired standards, and try to adapt Annex 1, 2nd, and 3rd in Cadastral Committee. So we try, in frame of our strategy, we divided our layers in two parts. First part is called basic, and the second custom or the thematic layers. So responsible of these basic layers is Cadastral Committee, and the responsible of other thematic layers are another state bodies. So in geomatic centers, the last year we tried to develop some guidelines for basic layers and some of thematic layers also. And based on these guideline standards, we tried to standardize geospatial data. One of the city, Armenia, Warshapat or Echmiadzin city. And you can see on this slide how we try to standardize, for example, elevation using inspired standard data. But it was only for attribute data, not full standards. So here you can see another example. And here buildings in the parcels also were standardized using inspired guidelines. Here another example, it is addresses. It also were standardized using inspired guidelines. So I finished. Thank you so much. If you will have any question, we are ready. Thanks again.
Thank you, Vahan, and very informative presentation. I'm sure our guests will have plenty of questions. I would now leave the floor to Thomas Robinson, who will kindly illustrate our procurement framework in broad lines, and in particular, what does it mean fixed batch selection and simplified technical proposals. I'm sure many of the companies are familiar with our procurement guidelines, but I think it's very good to have somebody that really owns them and who actually support our team and will support our team in making sure we select the best company for this project. Over to you, Tom, and thanks again. Oh, I think we may have lost Tom. I can't see you. I guess just a technical difficulty. And we expect Tom to be back online soon. Perhaps I could start sharing his slides. Let me find them. So maybe it's easier for him. Can you see them?
Yes.
Thank you. Now we just have to wait for Tom to be back online. So as well, while we wait, our aim would be to basically refine the terms of reference and advertise within the month of May. The companies will be able to see the advertisement published on our website. We'll try to share widely as we can, as to ensure the possible best competition for this project, and we will then usually it's about 40 days of advertisement. Tom may provide more details on this, and therefore between selection, negotiations, etc. We hope to launch these. I'm thinking we may even be able for July. And again, we are mindful that this is a very, this is a priority for the Armenian government. And it's a priority. I think Vardan mentioned this. It's a priority because in these COVID times, we realized how important it is to have to rely on e-governance and for people to be able to access information online without having to rely on offices. And we've seen basically how the COVID situation last year heavily impacted the real estate market. Again, we are mindful that this is a very important task. We're very honored, to be able to contribute to it, and we will do our best to accelerate what, unfortunately, in ADB are sometimes bureaucratic processes. I'm not sure Tom is back online. Vardan, are you trying to reach out to him?
I am. Just 1 more minute, please.
Thank you. Thank you. I see that our Cadastral committee colleagues, in particular, Aram Gugarats is our direct counterpart. We call him representative of the implementing agency. I see he's traveling, so I hope it's safe, but glad to have you here among us. And again, apologies for this technical glitch. Bear with us. Over to you, Tom.
Hi, sorry about that. I just had a few technical issues. I'm now hotspotting from my work phone. It's unfortunately a very common occurrence, at least in my house. I don't know why, but...
well, in the Philippines is... yeah. Tom, would you like me to keep my slides on? And
if you can, yes. Yes,
okay.
If you can, then it saves me playing around. I'm potentially losing the connection again.
Sure, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, so I hope everybody can see that. I don't know, Maria, if you want to put it in full screen or if that's okay with everybody, I don't mind. Okay.
I've tried, but weirdly enough, it doesn't work the usual way I do slideshow. But
double technical issues then. Okay, well, let's continue. So thank you everybody for coming to today's information session. I'm not sure how many potential bidders are present on the call, but obviously this section will be the most interest to you. Well, I hope it will be the most interest to you, apart from understanding a bit more about the project and what you actually are going to be bidding on. As was mentioned by Vardan in the introduction, this is going to be simply a fixed budget selection using a simplified technical proposal. So I'm going to be talking a bit more about that in later. But first of all, I just wanted to show you what the normal procedure is for ADB to recruit consultants. So in this slide, I've got all of the steps We start off with the request for expression of interest, which was obviously our advert to the market, saying that we are looking for consulting services. The market then responds with their expression of interest, following which ADB will then create the shortlisting, and I'll go a bit into the details as to what you need to present to us in your expression of interest and how we do listing. Then we issue the request for proposals, which is your opportunity then to actually send your proposals. After which, once that's closed, we will then do the technical evaluation. And before the financial evaluation, we send out an information to all of the bidders on the technical score that they've been awarded, which will then also inform them whether they will proceed with the financial opening. After the financial opening, again, an information will be sent out to all of the bidders, informing them of their financial scores as well and their ranking. We will then proceed with the contract negotiation with the first ranked bidder. And after the contract negotiation, we award the contract. And again, an information will be going out to all bidders to say that the contract has now been awarded. And once the contract is awarded, we go into contract commencement. That's when you start actually implementing the contract. Next slide, please. Before I go into the details on expression of interest, I just want to cover quickly eligibility as to who's eligible to bid on ADB projects. And those are consulting firms or joint ventures of firms from an ADB member country. One of the things that has changed with the new procurement framework that came out in 2017 was that we are now permitting firms to also put forward experts that are from non-ADB member countries. So for example, you can have now experts that are Brazilian nationals or Estonian nationals on your proposals. We no longer have any restrictions on the nationality of the expert. And we hope that this opens up a lot larger market of potential experts being able to work on our contracts. Okay, now looking at a bit at expressions of interest. So as I mentioned, the request for expression of interest will be advertised through our consulting service recruitment notice. All bidders who are interested in bidding must be registered in CMS, and your expression of interest must be submitted through CMS. There's also the instructions in CMS as to how you submit your expression of interest and what you need to include in that for your expression to be considered. The shortlisting of the expressions of interest we receive are based on the qualifications of the consultant. So those are their experience in projects, how many projects they've implemented that are of similar nature. Obviously, we'll also be looking at past performance and other relevant factors that are important. Those other relevant factors will be described in the CSRN. So you would then just have to read through those and respond to them. Okay, next slide, please. As I mentioned, once you've been shortlisted, we will send you the request for proposal. So in the request for proposal, as I mentioned, are all of the names of the shortlisted firms, including any associates or joint ventures where applicable. We will also identify the selection method and the type of technical proposal. And as we mentioned, those are fixed budget selection using a simplified technical proposal. Also included is the terms of reference, and Vardan already gave you an introduction of that earlier. The evaluation criteria, and I'll be talking a bit about that later. The budget for the assignment, as this is a fixed budget selection, the budget is fixed, and any other specific information that you will need to provide as part of your request for proposal. Okay, next slide, please. So What is a fixed budget selection? A fixed budget selection is a method that evaluates the quality of technical proposals, provided that the cost of the services are within a specified budget. As I mentioned, the budget is fixed. Fixed budget selections are appropriate for tenders where the terms of reference is precisely defined and there are no changes expected during the implementation. Where the time and personal inputs can be assessed accurately, and the budget is fixed and cannot be exceeded. So as I mentioned, the evaluation is based on the quality of proposal. The price will not factor into the overall score at the end. So that's quite important to note on fixed budget selection. As I mentioned, we're using a simplified technical proposal. So in that, it is a lot simpler than the full technical proposal. So you'll be asked to describe your approach, the methodology, provide a work plan for the assignment. You'll be asked to provide the team composition, the tasks for the assignment, and the summary of CVs. You will be then asked also to provide a detailed work schedule, a detailed personnel schedule. So those two, the work schedule and personnel schedule, are forms in CMS, whereas the forms in points 1 and 2 are free format. And you will also be asked to provide the CVs of the proposed experts. Now, just to note here that for simplified technical proposals, points 1 and 2 are the combined page limit for those is 10 pages. And we do ask you not to exceed that. Similarly, page limits for CVs are 5 pages, and we have a standard template for you to use as well. We can be flexible on the layout of the standard template so that you can actually put more information into those 5 pages than you have in the template that is provided to you in CMS. But again, we do ask you to keep the format the same so that it makes the evaluation of the CVs easier. The evaluation criteria for a simplified technical proposal, as I mentioned, there's only three sections for it, or 2 sections. One is the approach and methodology, and the other is the CVs. And normally those are split between 30-70, but that is adjustable. The reason why I'm highlighting this is to show that on simplified technical proposal, there is quite a high requirement on quality CVs rather than the approach and methodology. But as I mentioned, we can change those scoring criteria. And in the past on some, I've even recommended that they're split 50-50 so that the quality of approach and methodology is highlighted over that of the personnel. But I do ask you, when you're responding to the request for proposal, to understand the split between the approach and methodology and the person buyer data, because that's where you will be getting your points. That's about it from me on the actual process for bidding. Obviously, we've got a Q&A session. I think that's following on now. So we'll follow on after the key milestone. So I'll be happy to answer any questions you have on the bidding process and any way that ADB evaluates your bids, and also any tips and tricks you want to hear from me that will enable you to submit a better proposal. I'm very happy to answer those questions. Okay, thank you very much. Over to you, Maria Pia.
Thank you so much, Tom. Very informative, very clear. Again, thanks for taking the time to do this. Actually, we already talked about the key milestones under Vardan's presentation. So we're actually perfectly on time to receive questions from our participants, whether the State Cadastral Committee may have questions, as I suppose this will be your first ADBTA. Please feel free, and then I would encourage the companies who are present here today to also ask as many questions as possible. So over to you, Chairman Tomasian.
Thank you, Maria. Thank you for presentation, Mr. Tom. And my main question about the TOR, which will be put it in the announcement of the tender, how we will prepare the TOR and who will be help us, or it is Cadastral Committee responsibility, or it's from ADB side. We have to discuss about this point, because TOR is the main paper and a very important paper, and we want to have a good TOR for the tender.
I agree with you. The terms of reference are definitely the key part. If you remember, when we were designing the project before it was approved, we together prepared some outline terms of reference, which are published together with the TA paper, with the TA report. Going forward in the next 2-3 weeks, we will work with you to refine those outline terms of reference before they are published. So we very much rely on basically standard templates, which we tailor and customize to the specific project. And so when it comes to content, we really need your inputs. When it comes to process, let's say, we very much rely on Tom on helping us ensure that whatever we are asking is feasible, is implementable, and in particular is easily implementable later on. So definitely, Chairman Tomasian, we will be in touch with you. I think we've already scheduled meetings to discuss these terms of reference, and that's why it's important to hear from the companies whether they have questions on the outline terms of reference that we've already published. So to understand whether we're going in a direction which is clear to everybody, and above all, which is responding to the needs of the cadastre and to the task, to the needs of the task.
Yeah. My main point is that about the final TOR, we have to discuss with you and with our specialists here from Geomatics Center and from IT Center, and Mr. Gugarac will be in touch with you. And final TOR have to be adopted from Cadastral Committee and from ADB, from both sides.
Absolutely. I mean, be ready for hours and hours of work on the TOR, because again, it's worthwhile to invest our time in that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Anyone else would like to ask questions? I see a few guests from outside. Let me check the chat box if there is any. Karen, hi, how are you? I recognize you. Karen, hi. So you're representing your company?
Aegis International.
Nice to see you here. Would you have any questions from Aegis? If not, I see there is a hand up from Christophe.
Yes.
Christophe, you wanna go ahead?
Yes,
nice
thanks.
To see you again.
Yeah, nice to see you again, Maria. Thank you. Yeah, maybe just a practical sort of question. I mean, when the AOI is published, I mean, maybe Tom mentioned it, but how long do we have to submit our expression of interest? I think there was 40 days mentioned for the full proposal, I guess, but for the expression of interest, I'm not sure whether it was indicated.
Maria, I'm sorry. Let's say to our colleagues to introduce from where they are. Welcome speech. Which company they are presented and how they are interested in this.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. My name is Christophe Sagnier from CLS Group in France.
Welcome, Christophe, and Very good point, Mr. Tomasian. Yes, please introduce yourself before you ask questions. Did I recall the expression of interest will be there for, you will have about 30 days, but I'm asking Thomas to confirm.
We have we're quite flexible on the number of days. So obviously the request for expression of interest will detail it. Given that this is quite probably more of a complex assignment, it will be on the top end number than on the shorter end. So it could be 30 days that we will allow for the expressions of interest to be submitted. And that would be 30 working days and not 30 weekdays. So that would be just so it would be 30 weekdays and not 30 working days. So that would be a month for you to prepare your expression of interest. And then the request for proposal, if it is 40 days, so that would then be 6 weeks. But again, those numbers could be shortened subject to the complexity of the requirement and the urgency for the contract to start. But I think in this case, we could allow for the maximum numbers on the expression of interest and also on the request for proposal.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Do you think that's a good time, Christoph?
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty standard. So yeah.
Yeah, good. I don't see other hands up, but I have a weird outlook on my screen. So if there's anyone who would like to ask questions, please go ahead. Karen, did you want to ask questions? I don't know, Tatiana, Eric, any question from your side? I mean, consider that. Yeah, no, I just wanted to say that consider that you can always ask for clarification with us. However, I mean, today is a very good chance as we have Tom online, and it will be, quicker for us to answer and I guess for you to prepare the proposals.
Great. Can I quickly ask a question? Sorry, I would like to first of all introduce who we are. We are experts from Korea, Alex. And we also have with us some of the private experts and consultants who specialize in spatial data infrastructure as well as standardization. My name is Simon John. I'm just speaking for the Korean group here. And we have one of the consultants asked the question. They were curious if the Cadastral Committee of Armenia is actually in charge of, by regulation or by any law or act in Armenia, are they in charge of the NSDI in Armenia?
Thank you for, well, first of all, for participating in this. Thank you for asking the question, which I direct to the Chairman Tomasian. Please.
Thank you. Thank you, colleagues from Korea. Cadastral Committee right now has adopted, our government has adopted the strategic plan for integrated cadastre. And right now we are changing our law in geodesy, cartography, and GIS system. And the Cadastral Committee is the responsible for these laws, for these papers. And for these NSDI standards and the other points is put it in our strategic plan, which already I mentioned that is adopted already. And there we have some plans, some schedule, and some activities which we have to done during these 3 years. And we connect all these plans, strategic plan, this project, our national data infrastructure developing projects, and our mapping system and orthophoto creation in Armenia. All these activities is connected together, And finally, we are wanted to have a good influence in mapping and the cartographic system in Armenia.
Thank you, Chairman Tomazian. Colleagues from Korea, are you okay with the response? Just to explain, the State Cadastral Committee is directly under the Prime Minister's office, sort of above the line ministries, which will be, involved in the process, as we want this cadastre to be functionally usable by all the line ministries or relevant line ministries. But in terms of mandate, it's absolutely their mandate. And in fact, I think this was reconfirmed last year with a national law. And that's when the government of Armenia also allocated additional resources, about 1 million, for the procurement of imagery or of aerial photos, etc. Over to the participants. Please raise your hands. It will be easier for me and Vardan to understand who wants to speak. Go ahead, Mr. Kohert.
Thank you for your answer. Yeah, we are satisfied with that answer. Thank you.
Thank you. Over to you. I see hands up for Mr. Thomas Kohert.
Yes.
Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you very much. Good morning or good afternoon. Regards from Tokyo. So I'm Mr. Kohert from Asia Air Survey consultant in Japan. I would like to ask a question to Chairman Tomazian as regards the introduction of standards from maybe other countries or introduction of IDs coming from other countries. I would like to know if you have specific experience of technical cooperation with some countries in particular, or if you have some interest in the models of NSDI developed by certain countries in particular, because this could influence the profiles of experts that we would like to search. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Kohert. Very useful question. Yeah, over to you.
Thank you. I will try to answer in Armenian. We will have translation, okay?
Yes, please, for those participants who want to hear the English, go down into the icon that looks like the world and select English, please.
Ուրեմն ինչ վերաբերում է հարցին, ուրեմն կադաստրի կոմիտեն նախկինում նման քարտեզագրական ստանդարտների մասով համագործակցություն չի ունեցել այլ պետությունների մասնագետների հետ եւ այլ պետությունների հետ։ Սա առաջին պրոյեկտն է, որը որ մենք սկսել ենք եւ ցանկանում ենք ունենալ հաջող մասնակցություն եւ հաջող անդամակցություն։ Խնդիրը ինչու՞մն է կայանում, որ նախկինում կադաստրի կոմիտեն ունեցել է պրոյեկտ 2012-13 թվականներին Շվեդիայի կադաստրի հետ համատեղ, որի արդյունքում կադաստրի կոմիտեում ներդրվել է ամբողջությամբ էլեկտրոնային փաստաթղթաշրջանառության եւ գրանցման համակարգ, որի մաս է կազմել նաեւ քարտեզագրական մոդուլը, որը մինչ այս չէր գործարկվել։ Եվ անցած տարի մեր ջանքերի շնորհիվ, որոշակի միջոցների շնորհիվ մենք կարողացանք մեր ներքին օգտագործման համար գործարկել նաև քարտեզագրական մոդուլը, որը կապված է անմիջապես մեր գրանցման process-ներին։ Եվ այս կապակցման հետևանքով մենք փորձեցինք հավաքել մեկտեղ մեր տվյալների բազայում արկա բոլոր քարտեզագրական նյութերը, որոնք որ ստեղծվել էին տարբեր ժամանակահատվածներում, տարբեր ճշտություններով եւ առանց որևիցե ստանդարտավորման։ Եվ մենք հասկացանք, որ խնդիր ունենք մի այնպիսի իրավիճակում ենք հայտնվել, որ առկա են որոշակի տեղեկատվություն, որոնք ինտեգրել եւ որոնց վերաբերյալ հետագայում վերլուծությունները ապահովելը բավականին խնդրահարույց է լինելու եւ դիմեցինք արդեն մեր գործընկերներին ADB-ից Մարիային եւ խնդրեցինք, եթե հնարավորություն լինի, համատեղ ծրագիր մշակել եւ ներկայացնել հենց այս ոլորտին վերաբերվող, որը որ մեզ կօգներ հետագայում ստեղծել ստանդարտներ եւ հետագայում քարտեզագրական նյութերը ամբողջովին հավաքել մեկտեղ մեկ համակարգի ներքո մեկ տիպի ստանդարտին համապատասխան։ Որպես այդպիսին ներկայդրությամբ մենք չունենք հաստատված NSDI ստանդարտների փաթեթ, բայց նախատեսվող օրենսդրական կարգավորումներով մենք նախատեսում ենք եւ ժամանակացույցեր ենք ֆիքսում, թե ինչ ժամանակահատվածում եւ ինչ աշխատանքների արդյունքում մենք կունենանք վերջնարդյունքում այդ ստանդարտները հաստատված Հայաստանի Հանրապետությունում եւ դրանց համար պատասխանատու կառույց է սահմանված կադաստրի կոմիտեն եւ ինչպես նշեց Մարիան, կադաստրի կոմիտեն ենթարկվում է անմիջապես վարչապետին եւ կարելի է ասել, որ գտնվում է նույն հարթության մեջ, գրեթե նույն հարթության մեջ, ինչ որ նախարարությունները, այսինքն մենք էլ ունենք առանձին ձայնի իրավունք համապատասխան հարցերի քննարկման ժամանակ եւ շատ մոբիլ համակարգ ենք ապահովելու այս պրոյեկտի իրականացման ընթացքում։ Շնորհակալություն։
She will rejoin now. Meanwhile, let me take over and ask whether Mr. Thomas Cohert is satisfied with the answer or there is a need for any additional clarifications to be provided.
Fully satisfied, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for your question, and to the chairman for the clarifications provided. Maria Pia, over to you.
Sorry, I was disconnected for a few seconds. Anybody else wants to ask more questions? Please take advantage of having our experts here in the state cadastre. Again, there will be chances in the future. Why not advance in some work? You don't have to turn on your video if that's a problem. Tatiana, maybe you have any questions? I know you're dialing from Italy.
Yeah, just I'm trying to switch on. Yes. I hope you can see. Hello. First of all, thank you very much for this opportunity. I don't have really a question because it was quite clear for me. So now we, the only question I would have that, but I think, well, sorry. First of all, I would like to tell whom I represent. I'm from CSI Piedmont, Italy e-governance agency. We are very experienced on regional spatial infrastructure, and we also follow, of course, national and European standards. So we are very interested in this standard, and I think we will be bidding with in a consortium with in a partnership with another company. So I would have this question: is it possible to bid in partnership with another country, with another company? Thank you very much.
Yes, خانتیل պետք է հասկանամ ինչու՞ն է, կամ որում կարողանում եք
Thomas, would you like to respond?
Should I answer that question? So yes, obviously, yes, we highly encourage you to seek associations with other companies. The only requirements that we have on that is still the eligibility requirements. So your partners will still have to be registered in an ADB member country. That's the only requirement that we have. So you can partner with local companies based in Armenia, as well as any other companies based in an ADB member country. But yes, we highly encourage partnerships between your organization and others. Those can be through an association, or if you want to make it more formal, it can also be through a joint venture with that entity. Or entities for that matter, it can be more than one partner.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you, Tatiana. So do we have any other questions? I don't know if our partners from the Korean fund would like to say anything. Perhaps it seems that we were very, Christoph, is your hands raised from before, or
no?
You have
no,
additional?
I had another question, if I may.
Oh, please go ahead.
Yeah, there was, you know, the overall presentation of an NSDI, but there seems to be initially a focus on cadastral information. But I was just wondering whether the NSDI was to cover other themes as well, ultimately, or is this really just focusing on cadastral information to begin with, or maybe I didn't quite understand.
Vardan, would you like to start answering, or should we let our clients respond?
I'm afraid that the question wasn't really clear to me, sorry, probably, but I see Mr. Tomasan wanted to answer.
I think the question was about is standards only in cadastre area, or it will include also the other areas also, if I understand correct.
Yeah, absolutely, thank you.
The main point is that we need to create a cadastre, cover all cadastre area, and there is a thematic layers also in other areas, and we also need to prepare some information for our other governmental bodies, how they need to start their work and how they need to prepare the data for including in one system. It means it's not only cadastre area, it means it will include other areas also.
Okay.
If you need information how what type of cadastre system we have in Armenia, we can also prepare some short paper and include in TOR also.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's a very good idea and very good question. Thank you, Christoph. We will keep that in mind while preparing the TOR. And again, we will be looking forward to the guidance from the cadastre on this. Thank you. Thank you. Well, it seems, at least on my screen, that there are no more hands up. So perhaps what was presented today was clear enough. Hopefully it is of interest of the companies that were able to participate to today's discussion and presentation and information session. Hopefully we will have more. Again, in ADB, we highly encourage more competition for the best outcome, for the best project's outcome. So I think we can wrap it up here. Again, I don't know if my colleague Yang would like to say anything from the Korean government. If not, I would like to thank you all on behalf of ADB, on behalf of my colleague Vardan, who is the co-team leader. Thank you, Chairman Tomasian. So in the weeks ahead, and even this week possibly, we will start the detailing of the terms of reference, and we will count on your guidance and support in preparing clear and effective terms of reference. And again, Tom will also rely on your guidance and support for the process part of things. And I guess that it's all from us. Thanks again for participating. Vardan, would you like to say a few words?
Just a big thank you to everyone. We are thrilled to kick this off. And we have finally reached to the point where all our efforts for the last year are going to start being paid off, and we are really excited about the launch of the project. So big thanks and good luck to all of us.
Thank you. And Chairman Tomasian, thank you so much for staying through the whole session. I think it really testifies to the importance of this project for Armenia. I appreciate your, you have a busy schedule, but thanks for being with us the whole time and for answering the questions. With this, I look forward, to continuing work with you. And as Vardan said, good luck to all of us for the TA. Thanks again.
Thank you very much. Thank you for all. Yeah, and have a nice project for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you, everybody. We'll close here. Thank you.